Okay, everybody, welcome. The time is exactly the top of the hour. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Andy Calistride. I'm the Director of Training at GoFigure, and it's my pleasure to be your host and moderator for the session here today. Those of you who were with us yesterday at the iCamp, we did tell you that we were going to have a follow-up session today, an interview with Cassie Findley and a very special guest of hers so that she can give you a little bit more information. We really appreciate all of your interest and all of you who have joined us. In about 60 seconds, I'm going to be bringing Cassie in on the line with us. We've also got Kyle Zbrotsky, our founder and CEO, standing by, and another very special guest, as I mentioned, but I'm not going to steal Cassie's thunder, and I'm going to allow her to introduce him. Before we go over to Cassie, I just do want to let you know that we are live on the air here. And that means a couple of things. First, if we encounter any glitches, we do apologize. I think we might have lost one of our guests. We'll find that out in just a second here, and so you all bear with us while we reconnect him. The other thing that I do want to let you know, since we are live on the air, is that we will be able to take your questions live on the air. There is a question tool as part of your webinar control. That's in the upper right corner there. There's a place where it says type a question, and when you type your question there and click send, we will see it live on the air here. Now, most of your questions probably will be answered by a moderator. We can't take every single one live on the air. We will be passing several of them, however, on live to our guests. And most importantly, we do promise you that if you have not gotten an answer from either our moderator or one of our guests live on the air, every question will be answered in a follow-up email. That's the email address that you put in when you signed up for this webinar. Okay, before we turn things over to Cassie, let me do a real quick test here, so if you all stand by for 30 seconds. Okay, we appreciate your patience, and without any further delay, I would like to turn things over to Ms. Cassie Findley.
Thank you so much, Andy and Kyle. Thank you so much for the opportunity to get in front of and re-engage with the current owners and the staff. I want to thank you guys for being here today. I know you probably all have a very busy Friday, and this is a great time. I hope that we can spend together and reconnect as I do what I said I promised, and that is that we're getting back with you with some additional information regarding the opportunities that we talked about yesterday. And I want to challenge you at the very beginning. I'm all about taking action. So we're going to go through some information here that I think you're going to find very, very interesting and very, very helpful. But I'm going to ask you to take action and join me as we start putting our success team together to truly make a difference in the health and well-being of your friends and family, your members, and everyone that you know and love. So let me continue where I left off yesterday. Now, after leaving hers, I had to do some pretty serious soul searching about what my life's direction and destiny would continue to be. And, of course, I went right back to the core. And as you know, I mentioned this yesterday, and most of you that know me know that I lost my father as a type 1 diabetic, complications of cardiovascular disease, as well as being on kidney dialysis. Trust me, as a daughter who loved their father, unconditionally, that was not an easy thing to watch. And if things weren't bad enough, my youngest daughter at the age of 21 was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic. Now, as a type 1 diabetic, what that means is that she's insulin dependent, which means she has to take a minimum of 4 shots of insulin per day just to stay alive. And that's devastating for me in regards to understanding health and well-being. Now, I know what the long-term results of taking insulin are. And unfortunately, as Shelby and I have continued to search for medical personnel that can help us work with this disease, I'm finding more and more that the endocrinologists know just a little bit more than I do about the disease. And the information that I've been given from most of these doctors is simply just encourage her to test her blood sugars more often and to increase her insulin intake. Now, I know more than the average person there, and I know that the quantity of insulin that she's currently taking is not good for her health. And the long-term result of ingesting the insulin within her body is not good, and the outcome is not good. And she's so young, I just can't, that's not something I can live with. So obviously my search has begun and continued in some cases looking for solutions in regards to not only type 1 diabetes, type 2, but the ever-present metabolic syndrome, which is a precursor to diabetes. In that search, over the last few months, a family friend told me about a doctor in Florida. His name is Dr. John Young, and he's having huge, huge results with dealing with this population, metabolic syndrome, type 1 diabetes, and type 2. And so I took a trip to Tampa, and I really just wanted to spend time in the clinic. I wanted to understand what he was doing. We wanted to share each other's secrets, if you would. My expertise being in the fitness and the weight loss industry, his expertise dealing with diabetes, and so we were going to share information. So as I was spending time with him, and I was talking to him about my goals and my pursuits and really what I wanted my legacy to be or my life's calling to continue being, I had the opportunity to express to him some of my goals. And in that process, he said, you know what, Cassie, you really need to meet one of my friends. And that friend's name was Chuck Stebbins. Now, Chuck Stebbins, I don't believe that anything happens by accident. I think that God is the creator of all destiny. And in this particular case, I had the opportunity then to go meet Chuck and his wife, Sadie. We had an amazing time spending hours in conversation with Dr. Young and his wife, Bobby and myself. And through this whole process, what we decided to do was to help Chuck launch his Pure Chemistry MD product line through his company, which is called Tampogo. So through that whole process, we've spent time developing some 25 products looking at specifically diabetes and metabolic syndrome, but there's tons of other things that we're working with. Within the diabetes realm, though, there are 3 specific and he's working with his client, 3 products that we have found will reset the pancreas. There's a product called 7.35, which is an acid-alkaline balancing product. Now, that not only helps with the diabetic individual, but here's some side news for you. Individuals who are trying to lose weight, even though they eat correctly, proper nutrition, and exercise as prescribed, if your body is too acidic, the body will store fat. Now, the way your body gets acidic is through stress, through lifestyle, through toxins, through pollutants. All of those things impact our life, and so most of us are too acidic. Therefore, eating the right nutrients and exercising is not necessarily going to solve our weight loss our problem that we have. A second product that we found is the polypeptide ice. Now, this is a cold processed whey protein. It's very, very that you use a protein that has not been heated over 130 degrees, so it helps increase the sensitivity of the insulin to actually get into the cell membrane. And then a third product we have developed is Factor 1, which also helps stabilize the blood sugar levels, and it helps with the sensitivity issue. These 3 products we have found can reset the pancreas. And so we're very, very excited about those particular products, and we can talk more about those as we get through this whole process. There are also other products that come into play that help in regards to help stabilize the blood sugars. We've found that individuals that have high blood sugars could actually benefit from a product that Chuck had already developed in along with the Botanical Buffet. We created some additional products called Derma Wash and Derma Spray that helps from the very skin surface, prebiotic, and I'm going to ask Chuck in a minute just to talk some about that. There are other products like the Eco Fiber that I want to talk to you about, but I know our time is limited, so I don't want to get too crazy on all of the different products, but we are going to spend some time with some specific products. And before we get further down the road, I would like to introduce my special guest. Now, this particular man has had a huge impact on my life in the last few months. Chuck Stebbins is by training a biochemist, a brilliant biochemist. And so he loves the whole chemistry of looking at natural supplements and how they impact the body. He has created over 8,000 products. He was at the very beginning of the health and fitness supplementation that occurred back in the 70s and the 80s. He has started and built businesses. Those businesses being sold for billions of dollars, products being sold both online and in retail, billions and billions of dollars. So this is a man that has spent his life pursuing health and quality of life. What I found more important about Chuck is that he has a huge heart for service in helping others succeed and meeting the needs of others. He's become a true mentor to me as I continue to grow and learn in this field. Please help me welcome Chuck Stebbins to our time together today. Chuck?
Thank you, Cassie.
How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. And I appreciate your invitation to join everybody here.
Well, thank you so much, Chuck, for being here. What I would like to do is, as we talk about some of the products specifically, before we get into that, I really want people to understand your background. What's your journey from the beginning? How did you get to Tampogo today and the supplement interest that you have?
Well, Cassie, I started out, pretty much as a biochemist doing chemical engineering, literally creating prototype drugs for the pharmaceutical industry. Back then I called it wildcatting, where we would create, compounds in the laboratory and then bring them to a pharmaceutical company to refine and do clinical testing on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Spend many years and millions and millions and millions of dollars bringing them to the market as a legitimate pharmaceutical for sale. In my early youth, I was lucky enough to create 3 such substances that ended up becoming drugs, and all 3 of them became very big sellers. The funny thing was, I wasn't making any money doing it. What I got paid to engage in such practices versus what the final, result was in terms of sales, I was definitely the low man on the totem pole, and I desired a better lifestyle when I was young, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to get it doing this, and I don't like waiting to see years and years and years go by where my work has an impact on everyone. So I kind of switched my focus onto the natural products industry because, in all truth, most pharmaceuticals come from, either, compounding proteins or natural plant extracts, as the beginning stages. So it wasn't really that big of a jump. In a lot of cases, depending on what country you're in, a natural product here, maybe a drug there, or vice versa. So, the line between pharmaceuticals and, and natural products sometimes is a little more blurry than people think. And I got really, involved and interested in deciding where I'm going to go in the future. And it really looked like back then, performance and fitness-oriented weight loss types of things was what the world needed the most, and that's what I got involved in. I created a line of fitness products that I thought was very good, better than anything that was on the market. And at the time, weight loss products weren't really being sold, and even, the only fitness products were a few leader products that were out on the market. So I went to GNC with my line, and I said, hey, guys, I think this is going to be really, really important in the future. I've got some incredible products that are going to change people's lives. And they laughed at me and